I'm about to die. I'm about to die. Here we go. All right, what's up, guys? Some of you probably about to get butthurt on me, and that's fine. I get it. Some of you are a little sensitive, but I'm not here to shit on a brand or a product or a particular kayak. Matter of fact, the opposite is true. If this kayak fits your budget and your fishing style, I highly recommend it. I have seen this thing do things that most kayaks can't do. If you're going to get a plastic paddle kayak, the Bonafide SS127 is the one to get, in my opinion. If you're shooting for bass, if you're shooting on the flats, if that's your fishing style and that's your location, I highly recommend this kayak. The following is not a comprehensive review. I will say that it's not even really a review at all. It's more like a documentation of what happened and why I feel like what happened. All my opinion. 100% my opinion. I'm not a professional kayaker. I'm not a professional angler. I'm pretty shitty at fishing. But I do paddle a lot. Probably a lot more than most people do. I can go out year round. 99% of my fishing is in the ocean. Therefore, I launch on the beach. I land on the beach. And I do have a pretty good grasp of kayaks, why they handle the way they handle, and how to get through the surf, back in from the surf. I've had Hobies, and now I'm on a different type of kayak altogether that's specifically made for punching through surf and coming back from surf. I'm not here to compare my kayak to this Bonafide kayak, but what follows is what happened just yesterday. For me, it was just yesterday. This is Wednesday, so this happened on Tuesday morning. Not a crisis, not a big deal. Just kind of like a documentation of what went down. And then at the end, we'll talk a little bit about what I recommend, what I don't recommend, and yeah, let's get right into it. I'm here with Aliex from Fishing with Aliex. We got the Bonafide SS127. And I'm about to surf launch this thing. It's pretty surfy out. I don't know if you guys can tell from this GoPro footage, but it's actually kind of calm right now, but I'm about to hit this thing and see if it surfs. I'm sure it's gonna surf, but I might be upside down, but we're gonna try it out. All right, here we go, dudes. I'm not extremely excited about this. Is this seat in the high position or low position? For sure, because it looks super high. For sure. For sure. All right. I got this 17-pound paddle. It's more like a 13-pound paddle.
It's too heavy, bro.
God, dog. Let me get it. I got this, bro. All right. It's looking pretty not fun. I'm gonna wait for this. I'm just gonna wait on this set to come through.
Very surfy.
I do think it's so, look at over there, it's like super surfy. Pretty sure I'm about to eat poop.
Do it.
I will, just let this, let me get out.
Oh, the water's nice, man.
I know, I have a feeling I'm about to spend some time in it.
Go!
Nah, this is not good yet.
What do you say? Did you say something?
I think look at the word you're looking for is action.
Yeah, action.
Yeah.
Lights, camera, action.
All right, almost. Holy shit. I'm so screwed. Oh boy. There it goes. And boom. Sounds like it broke. Sounds like it just broke your kayak.
Where's the seat?
Holy shit. It's still here. The seat is destroyed.
Seat is destroyed.
Holy shit, bro. Okay, so if it'll stay right there, I can get in it.
Okay.
We just got to be ready for this next set. Okay, here's where I'm going to stop you at first. And we're going to take a look at what happened. Well, you just saw what happened, but I'm going to attempt to explain what happened and why I think what happened. So the Bonafide kayak has a catamaran design, which means it has like basically 2 pontoons along the side. That's amazing for tracking. It's amazing for stability. It's amazing for all those things. It's almost impossible to steer, okay? And what I mean by steer is it's going forward and your ability to keep it on course, right? Like turning and steering are different. We're not going to get into that craziness, right? Like it's almost impossible, especially when you're paddling forward through waves that are coming at you. So what happened was, if you'll see that I grabbed the front of the kayak, dragged it out into the water, and the current was coming out of the north. So I'm here in South Florida. The current was coming out of the north, headed to the south. Because of that catamaran design, the water hit the front of the boat, and as soon as it got into that channel between the 2 cats, it, boom, pointed itself into the current. Now, I knew that because I was on the wrong side of the kayak, which was my fault. Obviously, I wouldn't have had to bail on it had I been on the water side, but I was on the beach side. And because it turned straight into the current, I was left with a choice. I had to either leave the kayak or I had to sacrifice my knees and try to save it from dumping, which is stupid. And ultimately, you saw what happened. The kayak, I left it because it was going to get smashed either way. I couldn't point it into the wave the way it was sitting. That was my bad. The reason that happened is because of that the design. Had it been like a flat bottom, no issue. It would have just it doesn't really, the current doesn't affect it, but it's like a streamlined 2 pontoon sort of banger, and it points right into the current. So immediately it turned sideways, the wave hit it, and it crashed. It turned over. So what you'll see next is the second attempt, in which case I got Aliex to help me. So because I knew that thing was going to turn into the current, I had to have him hold the stern and help me into directly straight into the waves and into the current. So here's what happens next.
There's just no way, dude. We may have to do it Hobie style, where you like get out there and help me push off. Yeah, the problem is that as soon as the boat hits the water, it just whips around. The problem is, like, as soon as the boat hits the water, it just whips to that side. Wait. Let's walk it down this way. Walk it this way. The problem is the boat doesn't have a way to steer without the paddle. So as soon as it hits the water, it's going in the direction of the wake. I mean of the current. Yeah. All right, come on. All right, we got to point it into the wave. I'm about to die, I'm about to die, here we go! Holy shit. Oh man, I didn't die! But I'm about to die again! Come on, baby! Yes! Whoa!
So obviously I hate it pretty hard. And let me explain kind of what happened. I wanted to go back home and review the footage before I like sort of made a determination on what I thought happened. What I thought happened in my brain was a little bit different from what actually happened once I watched the footage. I thought because I had a really, what I think is a bad paddle, I thought I just wasn't able to get enough, you know, power behind my stroke to get me enough momentum to cut through those waves. That's what I thought happened. It hit the wave like this, and rather than cutting through the wave, it literally just got pushed. So I didn't expect that to be what happened, even though I was seeing it in my brain, and it was funny to me, like getting smashed by the wave. Like that doesn't happen to me on my kayak. My kayak kind of sort of just cuts through them. But the Bonafide kayak hit the wave, and then as you can see in the, and I'll slow it down in the video, but like it hits the wave, and then I literally just get pushed as fast as the wave is going backwards. There was very little like cutting through the wave. Very little of me being buoyant enough to be on top of the wave. I literally just got pushed back. I just got pushed back by the wave. And maybe it would have been a little different. We're going to try this again with a better paddle. I'm going to probably take the seat off this next time because, you know, I had a little bit of an issue actually even getting onto the kayak because, you know, in Pompano we have this shore break, and the waves break right at the land. They don't break out. We don't have 25 yards to get momentum enough to cut through the wave, so we kind of have to get into the wave as we're getting into the kayak. And what happened to me was I wasn't able to get from where I'm standing into the seat, right? So it took me a couple of seconds to get onto the deck and then climb up to the seat and then start paddling, and by that time the wave was already in my face. And that's just the reality. That's what's going to happen. This isn't some crazy day of like waves that we don't normally get. This is kind of how it is a lot of the time. So if you're planning on coming here with a kayak that isn't made for sort of, you know, punching through at least minimal surf, it was only like a couple foot surf. It wasn't a big deal. Just be aware that you're going to need some buddies to help you get out. And if you're going to come here and do that, you need to practice a couple of times without any of your gear. I wouldn't recommend doing that for the first time ever with, you know, $800 worth of rods and reels and a $200, $300 seat, whatever your seat costs. I wouldn't recommend doing that for the first time. The first time you want to try this with no gear, life vest, only a paddle, tape off some of the sharp edges because I got cut on something. I don't know what it was, but I did get cut on something. My foot got smashed a little bit. Not a huge crisis, but there's some sharp stuff on there. You want to tape up any of that stuff and just practice, like practice punching through the surf. I really wanted to come back through the surf. I knew I wasn't going to be able to actually command, you know, any sort of like spectacular surfing on the way in. It's hard to do that even on my kayak because of the shore break. You're already in the sand when the waves break. So I was going to maybe try to ride a swell in, which I think you could probably do. It's just hard to maneuver that thing because it's so stable that there's not a whole lot of lean. You can't lean it, and there's no rudder. So all your steering is done with your paddle, and you must have forward momentum to be able to steer it. That's what happened on this case. I just couldn't get through the wave. The wave was just too powerful for the design of the hull to be able to cut through it or even go over it. And that's not to say it's a bad kayak. It's not. They're not advertising that it's, you know, some surf monster, right? Like it's not supposed to be that. Just an observation of mine. I wouldn't like if I lived here every day and I went bass fishing all the time, that's the kayak I'd have. Because I don't do that and I punch through surf all the time and I'm literally out offshore most of the time, I would have something different, even if it's, you know, whatever else it would be, and it's something that isn't like sort of that catamaran sort of design, because I don't feel like that lends itself to getting through surf, and then I have no idea about coming back because I haven't obviously been able to come back because I got destroyed on the way up. So I don't know how I'm bleeding. Something's bloody on me. I feel like my mouth is bleeding too. My foot is bloody. That, I believe, is what I think might be potentially a broken bone in my foot. Maybe. I don't know. It was worth it. It was fun. We learned a lot, and you know,
Yeah, you know what?
my bones will get better. I've broken a bunch of them before, so.
I was supposed to push on that thing. I would have flipped with my own everything, all my gears and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing that it was a controlled test.